Let's make Marry Me chicken noodle soup. And you guys, I am 6.5 months pregnant and married, so I gotta be doing something right. Look at how much seasoning in the soup. So the first thing you want to do is start off by rinsing your chicken. I'd like to rinse mine off to avoid extra germs and bacteria. And I'm just doing 2 chicken breasts. And then we're going to put them on the cutting board. I cut them in half and then I cut them in little cutlet cubes. And eventually I go in with the pan while they're cooking and I make some of these a little bit smaller. But you want to cut these up, and I also take off the fat and set that to the side just because I don't want this excess fat in my soup. And you guys, ignore my setup. I have that light because my ring light broke. I do plan on getting a new one soon. So ignore that mirror. That's just for some lighting because my lighting is horrible right now. Once you have all of that cut and in your pan, I'm going to use some Great Value olive oil, some pink Himalayan salt, and then I use pepper, but I forgot to show you guys that I'm using pepper. Then we're going to put a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of paprika. And last but not least, you guys know my favorite is the Lowry seasoned salt. That is my seasoning. So we're going to put some of that in there as well and mix it with your fingers. I use the olive oil just to add a little bit of extra flavor and so that the seasonings will stick a little bit better. You do not have to use olive oil when you're cooking your chicken in a pan. That's just what I did this time. In some of my other cooking videos, I did not use any oils or anything at all. The next thing you're going to do is get some water boiling. So I'm going to set that aside on my back burner, add some salt just for a little bit of flavor to your noodles so they're not like super bland. And then we're going to add some water to a pan. I put 2 chicken bouillons in there, and in this pan I used about 15 to 20 ounces of water and then some chicken broth. I got the low sodium chicken broth, but I ended up adding salt, but it's pink Himalayan salt, so that's a little bit better, I guess. To season the broth, I like to use pink Himalayan salt and then plenty of pepper. And then at the end, you can go back and put more. So I like to flavor it to taste. I just first put it in there so that it can marinate. Now I'm going to get these mixed vegetables. And if you watched my most recent vlog, I bought these and they did not have the peas and carrots only. This one will have corn in it, but that's not bad. But I am picking out the green beans because I do not prefer green beans in my chicken noodle soup. I also wanted to cook with some celery because I love celery in my chicken noodle soup, but my husband and I don't like celery, so we don't know what we would do with the excess celery if I was to buy some for the noodle soup, and I don't want to waste it, so we're not using celery in this recipe, but to add a little bit more flavor, use celery. Now that the water is ready, we're going to go ahead and put these pasta noodles into the water. And I couldn't decide if I wanted to put the whole box, but I ended up putting the entire box, and you want to make sure that you stir your noodles so that they don't stick. Now I'm going to go in and make a lot of these chicken cubes smaller. I like to do this because A, it lets me know when the chicken is done cooking, and B, it shows how tender the chicken is. And so this let me know I needed my chicken a little bit more tender, but it helps to spread it across the pan so that you can kind of have a little bit more chicken. It stretches further. Now the noodles are ready, so I'm going to go ahead and drain them. And you guys, I think I'm pretty good at draining these noodles. I only dropped one. I go ahead and I put the noodles into the soup mixture, and I do this before I put anything else so that the noodles can soak up some of the flavor. That way the noodles are not as bland and they have more flavor to them, and I let that sit and simmer while I'm continuing to cook the chicken. After I've let that sit a little bit longer, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the peas, carrots, and corn. Yes, I did spill some, don't judge me, you guys. And then once the chicken is nice and brown, see how it is brown with lots of flavor, then and only then do we pour that into the mixture. And I do transfer burners just because the other burner is our quick boil burner, so it heats up quicker to me, and then it's also a little hotter, so I switch burners. Now is whenever you start to taste test, see what flavors need to be a little bit more bold. And I like to taste test with one noodle and then some of the broth. That way I know the flavor, and y'all please blow it off so that you don't burn your tongues. But the only thing I like to add is salt and or pepper and seasoned salt. And so I did add some seasoned salt and regular salt because I wanted it a little bit more salty, but you just do it to flavor. If you like yours a little more watery, that's fine. My husband and I like ours with lots of flavor, and that right there is why it's called Marry Me, and that's why I'm married, y'all.
That's it. That's it. Yep. That's good.
Now you guys see how much seasoning and flavor is in this soup? It is so good. Now the noodles aren't completely soaked, but you will see at the beginning of the video they were. So you just need to wait and let it simmer, and there you go.